Welcome, all my kings and queens. You are tuned into We Too Can Make It All Right. This is a podcast for the people, and I'm your host, Tara, here to stimulate the meeting of the minds. Okay? We can learn from each other, agree to disagree, touch on various topics, ultimately finding informing resolution and uniting on common ground. One thing for certain, we all have thoughts. Two things for sure, we have opinions and a voice that matters. So let's get comfortable, get our little spot of tea, as they say in England, and, let's show enough talk. But before we get started, let me inform some small business owners, okay? Don't matter if they black, brown, yellow, green, don't mean a thing. Email us at merchant, merchant, info at we2canmakeitallrightlive.com, or go to our website, we2canmakeitallrightlive.com. Fill out a promotion request, name and description of business, address, and contact information. Speaking of which, my guys at Marpat Wine and Liquors, they're located at 3112 Farrington Street, Flushing, New York, 11354. Check out my guys. They're stocked with any and everything, you name it. They open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 8, and then Friday through Saturday, 9 to 9, Sunday, 12 to 6. Okay? So, moving on. I have a special guest in the building. Yes. When you think of courage and survival, it is this brother. He's a son, he's a father, he's a husband, and he's also one of Southside Jamaica, Queens' own. This brother has a story of hope and inspiration after being incarcerated for 26 years. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
And during being in the belly of the beast, you are looking at encouragement, you're looking at strength and tenacity. Okay? When in this man's presence. And for those who are listening, please know giving up is not an option. So it is with humble gratitude that I introduce you to Mr. Reginald Jackson. Yay!
Thank you for that introduction.
Welcome, my brother. It's truly an honor to be in your presence. And we have another guest in the building, his gorgeous best half. How are you, my queen?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. So let's get comfortable. We got our little sips and nips. And, let's get started. So tell me, who is Reggie Jackson or Reginald?
Well, I was born and raised in South Jamaica, Queens.
All right.
Most of you might know my mother more than me, because she was the famous one.
All right.
And I grew up in the streets of South Jamaica, where it was hard. And me being the oldest, I had to look out for my younger brothers and my little sister.
Right.
So, South Jamaica basically made me part of the man who I am today.
All right.
And my struggle, it started there. So
yeah, I can relate to that because I'm also from South Jamaica, Queens, and it wasn't easy, in our time. Era coming up, it was a lot going on. It was just an era where it was just really tough. So, yes, I applaud that.
Yeah, I had my struggles, but I made it out.
Amen.
I'm still kicking after 49 years, so.
All right now.
I'm blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something else. That is something else. Wow. I have a story of my own, but it's not about me. It's about you today.
Okay.
So we'll get into that another time because I'm sure you're going to come back to the show.
Of course.
But I can relate on so many levels, you know what I mean? Where I guess you could say I've been on both sides of the track, where my mom taught me to be a lady first, but I also had to adapt to my surroundings. And, you know, we all come from good stock, as I know you do.
Yes.
Your mom, your grandparents, you had people that was right there all the time, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, you know, a lot of mines is no longer here, but I still carry that. I just carry that insight from them. You don't stray far from it at all. You know, it'll always stay with you. Some way, shape, or form or fashion, something is going to pop up. Man, my mom said that, or my grandmother said that, or whatever. But I guess that's to my next question. If you could, what would you have done differently today that you just didn't seem relevant back then?
That's a good question. I would have done a few things different. Mm-hmm. I think I would have paid more attention to my grandmother, my mother's mother, and because she basically raised me, you know, with my mother to, you know, because there was 5 of us, really 6, but it was 5 of us, and because she taught me a lot as I was during that time was of my incarceration. You know, I reflect back to a lot of my memories that I had back when I was younger.
Right.
And I just was reflecting on the lesson that she was teaching me, but I didn't know about it back then because, you know, being young, you don't understand certain things that your guardians or, you know, your elders be trying to explain to you. So that's one thing, because I think I would have turned out a little better as far as not getting in trouble with the law and all that, because soon after she passed, that I started, you know, getting in trouble, hanging out in the streets more, because I was a good kid.
Right.
You know.
But it was something that kind of triggered you to be like, I don't even care. Let me just do what I do.
Yeah.
And I get that, because I'm going to tell you something. My grandmother on my dad's side, that lady taught me everything. Everything. Miss Early Mae Graham, she taught me everything. And what I really remember about her, she's the one who told me who Jesus Christ was and what he meant, and taught me. It's just so much that you learn. So I'm right here with you, brother. I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
It just, the law of the streets was a little too strong at the time, and it just grabbed my attention more than, you know, my elders.
Right.
Because when we was coming up, it wasn't just your parents or your guardian that was taking care of you. It was the whole little community.
Yep.
You know, if Sheila down the block seeing you getting in trouble, she gonna put a belt to your behind and tell your mother why she did it.
That's right.
Or whoever why she did it.
Yep.
You know.
That's right.
But it was just the law of the streets that helped me at the time. So, you know, that's the only one thing that I think about from back then, that if I could change, I would, because the outcome would have been different.
Which leads me to my next question. What advice would you give or tell these young men trying to fit in? Thinking the streets is the only way out? Or is there justification for leaning towards the street?
Well, there's no justification, because when we, so to speak, dabble in the streets, it's a conscious choice that we make.
Right.
And, you know, we make that conscious choice because it's nothing else for us to do. When we was coming up, you know, we had little community centers, we had boxing and all this, and that and we had something to do.
Right.
After school, all that, we had something to do.
Remember that fresh air fund?
Yeah. Now it's nothing. It's nothing to do.
Right.
For these young
nothing at all.
Young people. Mm-hmm. So without you giving them an outlet, what they're gonna do what they
the opposite, right?
So we got to give them something to do, and it's up to us that they look to, that they call the so-called the big homies or OGs or whatever, to sit down with these young adults and try to teach them a different way.
Right.
But we just can't talk. We gotta put into practice of what we're talking about.
That's right.
Because if we just talking about something, then they just gonna listen and be like, all right, but what are you giving us to do?
That's what I believe, like an example. They have to see example and, really see how you're trying to help evolve them as young men. Because again, like you said, just talking, that don't mean nothing. They want to see. And that's really what a lot of us today want to see, something tangible. You know what I mean? Don't just talk. Show me something. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So what are your views as far as, the power of voting and the education for this young generation? Well, how do you feel about that?
Well, I feel some type of way about voting.
What's that?
But I'm going to keep that to myself. But anyway.
Okay, that's a personal thing. Yeah. All right.
But I see it like this. If we vote, right, we got to make sure that who we voting for is going to put into practice of what they really preaching, and put in place, certain things that is going to help us,
right,
further our struggle. And because a lot of these politicians they're not in the streets in the struggles, like giving out food bags or whatever. If we see that from politicians, then you're going to be more how could I say it, more in tune with them,
right? Because
they in what the younger generation would say, the loop,
right?
They in the street, so they know what it is to a degree to see the struggle.
Absolutely.
To struggle. So
I mean, it's simple. You can't tell me or show me anything if you haven't lived that life, or if you're not participating. Come down in the trenches with me and understand what we're doing, how we're doing it. How can you help? That's the thing. How can you help? Don't just get up there and front when you're on the podium, and claim that you're doing so much, but we don't see it. And I believe that's what we need nowadays, just something tangible, because it's just so much going on now that it's just ridiculous. And Queen and I was talking beforehand about, well, we started talking about last night's debate, but that's a whole nother show. You got to come back for that. That's a whole nother show. But I've never seen or witnessed anything like that in my life. I've never seen it. But we're going to come back over to my man over here and give me 3 words of encouragement for someone that may need a push that's listening out there.